how easily people are persuaded. Like I was saying, people are manipulated by other people when those other people know how to use their appearance or body language to manipulate other person's feelings towards themselves. I'll give you another example. How about Mr. Rogers? Anyone of you watched Mr. Rogers when you were young? Mr. Rogers would come in through the door and he'd have a little sweater on, and he'd go to his, once he walked in and said his good mornings, he'd walk in and he would go to his closet, remove his sweater he had on, maybe put on a different sweater, and he would go grab some shoes, go to his couch, sit down, change his shoes. He would, do the whole talking as he was untying his shoes, and then he would go ahead and put them on. That was a way to get his audience to feel comfortable with him. And he had a setting at home. Again, all that, even though we may take it for granted, it's actually all planned out. I'll give you another example. President Obama. When at the beginning he was always in a suit and everything, tie, nice tie. But what happened when he started doing his campaign for 2008 and he would go out to meet up in cities? He would go with his sleeves rolled up, loosened shirt. Why? Because the people he was connecting to, he wanted them to feel that he was a working class person just like they are. So many times people don't know the person underneath all the clothes and the glamour and the making you feel at home attitude, and instead it becomes a popularity contest. Just like American Idol. American Idol, yes, a lot of people do get passed along every week based on how well they sing. But a lot of people stay as long as they do because of the popularity contest. It's all about if people like you. Many times people in politics, they tend not to vote based on a person's views. Rather, they vote on the popularity. How much is that person like me? And that's what they vote on. And they don't look at the bigger picture. And of course, the media plays a factor in all that as well, because the media shows what they want to show based on maybe their own opinions on who they feel they should market more, because they want that person to in the minds of other people. You know, there's in marketing, there's one of the tactics is you receive, for example, mailings through your postcards in your mailbox, and you see maybe in, for example, real estate or mortgages, you see a person's face on a postcard, and they will continuously send information to you. And what happens is that the purpose behind that is that the day that you do need a realtor or a mortgage broker, an insurance agent, an attorney, they want, subconsciously, you're going to remember that the person that sent you that postcard. So at the end of the day, when it comes to real estate agents, attorneys, insurance agents, there's a dime a dozen. But it's all about being at the top of people's mind, either being the first person on the person's mind or being the second person. But always the first person is going to get priority. Sometimes people even know of a friend who does that type of business, but because of their relationship, maybe they see that person too much of a jokester, not taking things too serious. They will tend not to give them that opportunity for business. Instead, they'll go to the person who sent that postcard because they are on the mind of those people. I'll give you, going into another area, going back to what I had mentioned, that even though I personally am not in favor of President Obama's views, I don't fail to recognize that he has a great marketing or campaign agents, or whatever you would call them, because I'm sure they were the ones to tell him what to wear, how to possibly present himself, whether he rolls up his sleeves, or whether he's maybe to wear some casual shoes. Everything is planned out. For example, you have him using his teleprompters. Everything is planned out. What happens every time he doesn't use a teleprompter? He sticks his foot in his mouth. That happens to all of us. But at the end of the day, things are planned out. I just wish people would stop making it a popularity contest and how much one person is so much like themselves, instead of being behind that person based on their actual views and maybe even their associations. Because there's an old saying my grandmother always said, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And what I mean by that is, for example, when Obama was running for office in 2008, many people talked about Bill Ayers and the fact that Bill Ayers was a terrorist or is a terrorist. People also talked about Acorn and all the dirty, manipulative things that Acorn had done. They talked about that the Reverend, how racist he was. Yet President Obama had all these associations with these people. But because of how people perceived him in appearance, people stopped at that point instead of looking beyond the man in the clothes and looking at the man behind the clothes, the man inside, which is what counts. Some people said, oh, well, we're just tired of Republicans, so let's go with the Democrats. Again, people are basing it based on a label or a generalization of a particular party's views versus the individual person and their views and their morals that's behind that whole mirage, you can say, in front of them.